Hello, this is Jane Becker, and today we're going to be discussing short sales and what it means and how it affects a buyer. So, a traditional way of selling a home is when the seller decides to sell for one reason or another. The market is good and they put the house on the market. That's called a standard sale or a fair market sale. The seller is doing the selling and the buyer is doing the buying. And if there are issues coming up, the seller and the buyer work together to negotiate the best terms for both parties. When you have a short sale, and it's a misnomer because typically short sales take a very long time. When you have a short sale, what that means is that the homeowner is actually underwater. And what that means is they owe more for the house than the house is worth. They have to find a buyer who is willing to pay a price, probably fair market value or actually less than fair market value, and approach the bank and ask the bank permission to sell the property. The bank can say yes, they could say no, or they could say yes, we will accept the short sale, but you need to repay some sort of the amount of money that's in the difference. They might want all of it, or they might want a part of it. They might give you a personal loan, or they might want to ask the owner to bring the money to the closing. Every situation is different, and the seller will have a negotiator, typically an attorney, to work through the negotiating process. The last type of a sale is called foreclosure. A foreclosure happens when the bank already owns the property and they have a right to sell the property and collect as much money as they can from that sale. Both short sales and foreclosures typically are sold as is. What that means to the buyer is there's really no negotiating on the condition of the home. They can go back and renegotiate on the price potentially, but the condition is not negotiated. It's you buy what you see. When you are dealing with the short situation, the trick is to work with the bank, and the banks might take a very long time to come up with the decision. A lot of papers have to pass. A lot of it is on the seller's responsibility. So as a buyer, you are waiting for that situation to come up. What it means to a buyer to buy a property as a short sale? Well, when you're buying it as a short sale or foreclosure, a lot of times you will find the home abandoned. The property might be winterized, and the buyer is going to be potentially responsible for turning the utilities on and doing the inspections. To do that will be a little bit more costly for the buyer, and again, you're still buying the house as is. A lot of times, when a property has been abandoned for many years, there's a good chance that the property was not winterized properly, and issues will come up as the pipes are filled with water. You can have breaks in the pipes, you can have other issues. Sometimes there are taxes and liens for utilities that have to be paid before those utilities are turned on. Might be buyer's responsibility, might be the seller's, but again, it's a cost of buying a short sale. When you have a short sale process, you typically have an agreement between the seller and the buyer right away when the terms are decent for the seller. And what I mean by that is the seller is somewhat confident that the bank would at least take a look at that offer and consider it. The biggest time it takes place when that paperwork, the offer, and all the paperwork from the seller goes to the bank. The bank makes a decision whether or not to go through with the short sale. They have to decide if the seller qualifies and then if the house qualifies. In any case, that's the longest time it takes. And then when the bank gives the decision, it typically only gives 30 days for a buyer to close. So the buyer really needs to have all of the financing and inspections lined up right away so they can move forward, because once 30 days expires, typically you need to go through the whole process over again. So it's a very tricky process, and I hope you have a good real estate agent to walk you through. If you need my help, feel free to give me a call. My name is Jane Becker, and my phone number is 508-922-9832. I look forward to speaking with you soon.